Well, hello there. I am Havilah Malone,
And I'm Regina Carver.
and welcome to another edition of Rethink.
Uncut.
Woo!
Yeah.
Rethink Uncut, where we question life from different points of view.
I want to talk about your book. I finally read it, and it's so in line with some of the things we talk about, to encourage, to inspire, and I found it very inspiring. Now, the title of your book is How to Become a Publicity Magnet, 5 Steps to Win in Your Personal and Professional Life. But I was so drawn to these 5 steps to win. And that's what I'd like to talk about. I mean, we can go back to the publicity magnet part because that is so prevalent too and so helpful. But can we talk about the 5 steps first?
Absolutely.
Okay, so here's the thing. The 5 steps to win is where to win represents the first letter of each of the steps. That was very clever. So the first step, think, which represents the T, think and be aware, facts versus fiction. Can you please talk about that? Because that was so interesting to me about the stories we create and how that affects how we move forward.
Absolutely. And I'll give a little bit of background first, because as far as like becoming a publicity magnet, it's really about just being able to draw to you the things or the opportunities that you want in life. And so whether that is publicity or if it's other things, if it's, love or, great opportunities with your children, it's about becoming the type of person that attracts those opportunities. So those 5 steps to win really help to break down a process of rearranging your thinking so that you can truly become what it is that you want. And so the T, which you brought out, is about think and be aware. It's like so often we get caught up in our emotions or we get caught up in a story of something. So no matter what happens, if I walk out of this room right now and I stub my toe, like I'm going to create a story around it. And that story could be so-and-so should have moved this out of my way or whatever. And that's the reason why I stubbed my toe. Matter of fact, in the book, I give an example about, because all of us have been in traffic at some time in life.
Yeah, that example, I like that.
Got cut off by another car.
Mhm.
And what do we do immediately? We're like, how dare you? Like, you cut me off. I know you saw me, in this lane. And we start to create a story around that. But what if we stepped into that other person's shoes? What if we stopped and figured out what was actually fact as far as what was fiction? Because what if that person was actually on their way to the hospital because their mate was going into labor? What if they had just gotten a call that somebody had a heart attack and they were trying to rush to their aid? In that situation, your reaction to it would probably be completely different. You'd be like, go ahead, cut me off. Go ahead, go. Go do what you got to do. So what we can do is create empowering beliefs that help us as opposed to hurt us in the process. And that could even be around, like I say, if you're searching for publicity, you're trying to get your message out there. If you call up a station or something like that and you don't get the immediate response that you think that you should get, or they don't call you right back, why create a story that's like, okay, well, I'm not good enough, or they don't want to, deal with me, so I'm gonna just, forget.
Yeah, it's like we fill in the blanks with information that's not helpful when we don't have the full story. Oh my goodness. So that was a great point. Now, step 2, the O, and open and honest. And it's like be truthful about what you really want.
That is
Talk
what
about that.
so much is that the person that we seem to lie to the most is to ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
And it is for a variety of different reasons. Sometimes we just don't feel good enough, or we're trying to fit in to a certain crowd. And so our true desires, our true wants, we won't honor those things. And so we end up like holding back or pulling back in some way, shape, or form. But when you can really get honest about what do you really want, and not from a mentality of scarcity where it's like, okay, well, I don't think I'd be good enough to, be on a television show. So I'll just settle for, writing an article or whatever, and maybe send it off to a paper, because in your mind, one has more prevalence than the other does. But it's like, no, do you want to be on the morning show and sharing your message or sharing your product or sharing your service with those people? Then that is something you can have. Don't play small, because as we'll talk about in the next step, our time is really short.
Yeah, but you know what? You also say in this step 2, open and honest. And I made note of this. You must become crystal clear about what you want.
Yeah.
You must become crystal clear. I think that helps us to keep from floating around and not just settling down and really figuring out just some simple things we can do.
Yes,
Yeah.
that crystal clear part, that will help in so many different ways. And for those of you who are familiar with Napoleon Hill and Think and Grow Rich, he talks about how 98% of people in this world are drifting. So 98 out of
Oh,
every
wow.
are literally just drifting because they haven't made a decision about what they want or what they want to accomplish in life. So your mind has nothing to focus on. So that means,
Right.
okay, that sounds good. Oh, that sounds good. Okay, that sounds good. And you all over the place and accomplishing nothing,
Right. I love that you brought that up. It's just so important. And sometimes that can take away the fears too, if you focus and say, okay, well, it wasn't as bad as I thought. But if you never focus and have this clear direction on what you want, oh my goodness.
And there's exercises that can help you to get that clarity, because sometimes we're not really sure, because you got mama's voice in your head, you got your
That's right.
husband's voice in your head, you got your colleague's voice in your head, and you didn't forgot what your voice sounds like.
Yep.
So you don't even know what it is that you want. So there's exercise to be able to help you to be able to get clear about what you want, so that you can bring your gifts to the world.
It makes it easier. Okay, step 3. Okay, this is the W. Why wait? Take action now.
Yeah.
And what I like about this one, I have to say, you quoted Bronnie Ware. She's the author of 5 Regrets of the Dying. And in her book, you made note of this. She learned that the number one regret before dying is, I wish I had the courage to live a life true to myself, not the one others expect of me. Can you talk about how this relates to why wait?
Like, we will go through our entire lives trying to please everybody else, trying to be something that people will approve of, or that people give us their like okay on, and we forget that, hey, what it is that we wanted, our true gifts that we were supposed to bring, we didn't even bring that to people because we were too busy trying to be everything else. And so we don't have the time to really, and it's a process, because, it's almost like it's an unlearning process that has to happen, as you continue to grow and as you continue to get older. But the average lifespan of a human being is 28,872 days.
Break it down.
Exactly. So when you really break it down, and that like averages out to about like 78 years. So when you break it down to like those terms, it's like, if every day was $1, how are you spending your money? Is it being invested in a place that you really want it to be invested? Or are you just spending it like where grandma told you to spend it? You spending it where your friend told you to spend it, and you not getting any return on that investment.
Oh, and this just, oh my goodness, just spoke to me, because wow, imagine getting to the end of your life and just saying, well, I lived my life just based on what somebody else wanted. And you're so right. Why wait? Do what you can now in the present moment. Okay, on to step 4.
I know there's so much more, which is
I know. It's like, I'm trying to hurry. Okay. And this is the I, and it is inches make miles. I love this too. I love all the steps, but inches make miles. Measure and track results.
You have to.
Yeah.
You absolutely have to. How do you know that you're getting where you want to go unless you have some way of being able to track or measure that?
Mm-hmm.
Simple processes, there's simple things that you can do to make sure that you are getting from the point A that you started at to the point B where you're trying to go.
You spoke of some of those or wrote about some of those too in your book, but you have to read it. To get some of those to help you track. But I like that you also wrote, everything you do will either take you further away or closer to your goals. But how will you know that if you don't track? How will you know where you stand? And that's just so important. And so number 5, we'll move on to number 5. Number 5, and this is the N in to win. And it is now celebrate. I love this one too. This was great because we so often don't think about, oh my goodness, we get to the end and don't celebrate the accomplishment.
You know, Ralph Waldo Emerson said that life is a journey, not a destination.
Mm-hmm.
If we really look at it in that way, then every step that we make, even if it's a baby step, is something worth celebrating. It's something worth being grateful for. Because matter of fact, the more you celebrate it and the more you're in gratitude or in enjoyment of that moment, then more of those type of moments will happen and will come to you. And there's simple things that you can do to celebrate. You know, there's extravagant things you can do to celebrate, and there's like super simple things that you can do to celebrate. But it helps you also to feel like you're moving forward when you're able to celebrate just those little things. You know, I told somebody just the other day, I was like, Rome was not built in a day. Like, it was built brick by brick. And with every brick that you lay in the foundation of your life and pursuing your goal, that brick is important. It's a foundational piece. So guess what? It's worth celebrating.
Yeah. Thank you so much. Okay, so we just covered the 5 steps to win. However, there's a little more because you did weave some of the publicity part in there, but I'd like to know if you could actually show us how to use those publicity ideas that you have in our personal life next time.
Yeah.
And also there was some celebration ideas you had also, and maybe share a few of those too, because I like that you mentioned how that actually helps us to be grateful too. And that is so important because that lifts us to a positive energy. So great. So thank you. I enjoyed reading it. I really did. And I really get a lot out of it. It had a lot of good information, very inspiring. So
thank you so much. You know, it's a short read, but it's a powerful read, and it's about helping to get you prepared to be able to embrace those opportunities that are all around you, because you have something important to share with people. And we'll get into like next week about some publicity steps and things that you can do, but get yourself prepared first, and then you can soar.
Yeah, and that's what the 5 steps, it's like it's getting you prepared to step out and do more. I love that. So until next time.
And then make sure that you guys, comment below, or you can always reach us at rethinkuncut@gmail.com.
That's right, yeah. And I'm Regina Carver, and hoping you'll come back and watch the second part to this because there's more to talk about, and it is inspiring and helpful. Promise.
I'm Havilah Malone, and we'll see you next week.
Thank you. Bye.